like a verbal sprint. Breaking it down with an ad tech tint. Ad tech, ad talk, it's a live Q&A. Buy side, sell side, clearing the way. CEO spitting truth, no delay. Chalice and Gemera owning the day. Programmatic flows in the scene real tight. RTB dreams lighten up the night. Adam says pivot, Gareth says scale. Together they weave one flawless tale. Ad tech, ad talk, it's a live Q&A. Buy side, sell side, clearing the way. CEO spitting truth, no delay. Chalice and Gemera owning the day.
Week in paradise, Adam. It's
Yeah.
it's a bloodbath out there, man.
There's a weird slit in our set this week. Is that my green
We're
screen?
working on it. I got it.
Okay. All right. Not a problem. It's a virtual set. You know, me and Gareth are not in the same room. Not everyone realizes that this is a virtual environment built by show producer David Maldo. And Gareth and I have only met in person like 3 times.
True. That's a crazy thought. Yeah. I'm a
We
millennial. I
meet
grew up on the
every
internet.
week. Every week in the virtual studio.
Yeah,
All
man.
right, so you know, it was an enormous week for gossip, back channeling, fighting, backstabbing, gnashing of teeth. You know, Schadenfreude. I don't know how to pronounce that today. Everything, a lot of personal stuff, and this is a show about business and markets, and we're not going to do any personal stuff. Also, speaking for myself, Chalice is a TD7 company, so Trade Desk is an investor in a way, and Publicis is a client of ours. So there's absolutely no way we're going to get into this, take sides, or engage at all in the personal aspect of the dispute. And
Like mom
Gareth
and dad fighting.
also a TD7 company. Do you work with Publicis too?
Not yet. Hopefully.
All right. So
But I'll
we'll
be a
take-
little frank though. I can be a little frank. I think
Yeah.
I think that I'll thread the needle politically. And when I can talk about it. So should we let's bring up the takes. Let's do the takes, right? So
Yeah, I found what I thought were 2 good takes. I thought there were a lot of bad takes in social media. And I always think that there are a lot of bad takes, but this one in particular, if you've never worked at a holding company or a software company, you know, I'm gonna say you're not qualified to have a take, but you're pretty distant, right? You're pretty distant from what's
100%.
And you're like, your view of what's really going on is unlikely to be informed by your experience. It'll be mostly informed by what you hear or how things look from a distance. So a lot of bad takes, but 2 people who do really know big agency world and big tech world had good takes. So we'll put those up and we'll recommend the audience to look at those, comment on those. As always, the show is wide open to comments and questions. So you can say whatever you want. So first is Jay Friedman writing in Adweek, where he did not take a side and said this is really an issue of transparency, that the market lacks transparency, and you know, you have people pointing at each other over whose lack of transparency is worse, and it's you know, without taking a side, that it's the common theme is lack of transparency. And then what I thought was the very best take was from one of the only advertisers who weighed in. Slide. This is Vinnie Rinaldi responding to someone else on LinkedIn. Vinnie Rinaldi is the head of media at Hershey, so a Chalice client and a longtime friend of mine. And he attributes the lack of transparency across the market to advertiser choice, essentially. That's his conclusion is the disruption is whether brands finally use this moment to demand proof instead of stories. For me as a buy-side leader, that's the only reset that actually matters and should be prioritized by the builders. So between Jay and Vinny, I think we say I agree. I think these are good takes. There's lack of transparency across the board, and advertisers are the ones who could change it. So Gareth, over to you for anything you want to add, and then we'll take off from that point about where we think things go.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, and I tweeted about this a while ago, transparency means very different things to different people. And agency holding companies, when they were asking for transparency, they were surprised by some things going on in programmatic. Like, I think back to Jans. Like, I was on the phone with Chris Kane this morning. I love Chris Kane. And
Ad Talk loves Chris Kane.
yeah. And, but I think that he blew people's minds, right? Like, when MFA first came out, it blew people's minds. And they were like, how did I not know this was happening? And I think that there is an interesting discussion to be had there where was that a transparency problem or was that a like read your logs problem? But that's what triggered a lot of this, right? Is people were simultaneous were like, okay, they kind of conflated two things. They were like, oh, there's this inventory that we're buying on and we're not aware that we're buying on it. And then there's this whole SPO problem where like, what the hell is a reseller? I think that a lot of agency holding companies heard like, oh, wait, there's this whole class of company past the SSP that's taking margin and like flipping us inventory. We thought we were buying from publishers. And like they weren't. And so I think that there's that definition of transparency, which is we didn't know what we were buying. And this is weird and messed up. And I think a lot of agencies, when they were talking about that, they were like, we need to fix this. And then there is the trade desk version of transparency, which is the ad tech nerd version of transparency, which I am, which is, all right, we're really going to get in the guts of this thing. And we're going to like lay every component of this as bare as possible, which like say what you want about what O'Sullivan has built and is building. He is in the guts laying it bare as much as possible. So that product, right? Like getting in the guts and laying it bare as much as possible is not the product to answer that first set of questions. Like what are these resellers and what are these things? You can do that without getting in the guts and laying it bare as much as possible. You can build something that just stops buying from those things, which Chris Kane, by the way, has very successfully done. So yeah, I think that there's a translation error here in what transparency is, and that's why both sides are wielding the term like a sword against one another. And I was gonna write a blog post about this and call it Beyond Good and Evil. I don't think that anybody is like so in the right here. Like businesses are businesses, they have needs, they have products they want, and there's just a misalignment that's occurring right now, and it can be fixed. It's fixable. But yeah,
well, let's go back to what Vinnie said. Yeah, let's. I mean, I started a trading desk in 2013 or 14 around the idea of transparency. You don't have to have it up on screen. I'd say just summarize Vinnie's views from the advertisers can demand whatever they want from this market, and yeah, this is a chance for them to change. That's my takeaway. But anyway, I started a trading desk while the fashion was to start non-transparent trading desks. I founded a transparent trading desk 12 years ago and decided within a couple of years this wasn't really valuable to the advertiser, that this, they said it and it was a buzzword, but it's not really what they wanted. They didn't really want to run audits. Some of them want to run audit once in a while, but there was not a lot of takers for, we say, just audit us and see how much we're charging, and it's exactly what we say we're charging for tech and service of the trading desk. It's not that, and you cannot convince me today that that's what advertisers care about. And what I hear Vinnie saying is really that what advertisers want is to know that the value they get out is higher than the cost they pay, or at least equal to the cost they pay. And it's been very challenging from the very first days of digital for advertisers to have a good view of the value side, right? And I think in the absence of the value side, it's like you're fighting blindfolded. You're going to be swinging around, hitting God knows who, looking for value. And what comes out of that game of blind pinata is a lot of fighting about cost, right?
Well,
Like if you don't know the value, there's two things that you'll demand. Uh, Lower prices. I want lower prices. And the other thing is someone you could trust, right? And I think those positions were defined and built of DV360 and Trade Desk, the two leaders in programmatic. DV360 said they want lower prices. We're going to deliver lower prices, whatever it takes, even to the point of breaking the law, as it turned out. And Trade Desk says we're going to build trust with big buyers, even if it means we have to, be in agencies twice a week, teaching them what buttons to push, right? And that's what they did. And they built up a huge amount of trust. And I think this week marks the end of kind of the second of those strategies to be standing, right? So Vinnie's post to me is very poignant because he's saying it's not about just getting low costs, and it's not about just finding who you can trust. It's about actually understanding the value you get out of your digital media investments, and that's where brands should move.
So Vinny's the man.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
This is what brands should care about. But don't lots of them not care about this?
Value?
Yeah. So like to the lame observer, to me,
That's a
I like
misconception. Yeah, that's a misconception.
Okay.
In
So
the enterprise market, there were many, many years where the digital media investment was a rounding error, or a very small investment, a minority of the marketing investment, a minority of the media investment, right? And then, it was small. So it was a frog in boiling water situation where it got very big. It got to be the majority of the media investment and a huge chunk of the marketing investment. It's in, I always blow it in figures, but the millions, the tens of millions, the digital investments in the hundreds of millions. That rises to a level of scrutiny that not everyone has adjusted to. And that level of scrutiny is characterized by an outsider saying, the ability of an outsider to say, I have to see what we're getting out of this $100 million, right? And then that makes the ad tech conversation about measurement irrelevant. Because the CFO who's saying, or the CEO who's saying, I need to see what we get for this 100 million is not asking for an attributed conversion report.
Yeah.
He does not care about the survey lift, right? He especially doesn't care about the video completion rate, right? So what I hear Vinnie saying is this industry has to grow up. You can't have the ad tech people worried about these weird media metrics while the CFO is saying, what did I get for these 100 million? This has to be reconciled, and it's up to the brands to grow up about it.
So how do you do that? Is it media mix modeling? Is it cost of incremental? Like what's our way out of this? How do brands do this?
Yeah, I mean if they take responsibility, if they say we are committed to finding out what we get for our $100 million investment, then lots of ideas will start to flow, right? And they will find their way into it. And without revealing Hershey's business, I could say that for all the clients that I've seen who have a grown-up attitude about this, media mix modeling has a role, lift testing has a role, audits have a role, right? Like different brands will go about it different ways, but there's nobody saying, oh, I spent $100 million in digital marketing and I need the people I spent it with to tell me what I got. Like this just doesn't make any sense. That is just not happening, right? So like there's still laggards who are saying, well, we trust our agency, we trust Trade Desk, we trust Google, and at least our costs are going down year over year. Like they're laggards, right? Like it's inevitable that will go away in the enterprise market because the numbers are too high, the investments are too big, and it's been going on too long. Right? Maybe one year you could be like, I don't know where that 100 million went, but year after year, if we're spending 100 million, 120 million, 140 million, 200 million, and we don't know what we're getting out of this, like, they'll find a way. Some of them hire McKinsey And McKinsey could do a better job than, than the platforms, but
Yeah.
to my mind, not perfect, but they'll bring causal inference into it.
Yeah. I mean, so my self-serving instinct for this and my fear is that if you're not an ad tech nerd, you won't properly get the data into the models that will help us avoid, well, just buy this domain as cheaply as you can.
Well,
Right?
there's this
Because like
thing
in
called AI.
yeah, I really hope that they're doing it. Like I hope they're doing it because part of my instinct, right, is when you abstract all of it fully, and you don't have proper like tools in place to slice and dice and to discern, digital becomes lowest CPM possible. Lowest CPM
Yeah,
possible per
it's
unique
trending the
reach.
other way. My opinion, what I see, and I'm pretty close to it, it's trending the other way. It's trending toward,
Nice.
all right, let's hire McKinsey. Let's ask Claude. Let's, bring in a media mix model vendor. Like let's do something because it's hundreds of millions per year and we're not clear what the value is.
Are they dumping everything into a data lake?
Yeah,
Yes,
they're
they
they're
should.
getting certainly they're getting data together. I think in the CPG world, it's very interesting because there's AI projects preceding this in what's it called? Not we call it supply chain. They call it supply chain. And in the methods another place that they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars is getting their products from factories to stores,
Mhm.
right? And re-upping all that factory to store thing. And a problem that McKinsey and Palantir and Keystone and many other consultancies have gotten to years before they started looking at ad tech is saying like there's actually predictable ROI and taking all the data from your supply chain costs and value and running that through models and and making it more efficient. Like
Yeah,
this
so cool.
costs $10 million and
So cool.
we can guarantee $20 million of value over improving it. That's in the past. That's 5 years in the past. So it's
Yeah.
not the first time they're hearing this. And when you say, the prerequisite is getting your data together, they're not like, oh, I can't do that because they did it with supply chain. It's their data.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's comforting to me, right? Because I build all of this signal. My business at the end of the day is a signal business. And like the only way that I will have value in the long term is if my signal can be consumed by somebody doing models and it makes things better. Like that's my life. So
Yeah.
so a world of buy this domain as cheaply as possible. Like I have nothing to sell to that person. Like I don't even speak the same language that they do. And people having the data and doing cool things with it is a comforting thought to me.
I think this is hard to get their heads around, and it gets down a lot to the value of Gamera and the value of Chalice. Like we are modular solutions. We do not control our environment. And we live in a world where platforms have won, and platforms control their data environment and their compute environment and their predictions and the deployments of the outputs of the predictions, right?
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
all been completely controlled. And if you start in the enterprise market, then it's coming out of this supply chain conversation where it's like we're going to take our own data and we're going to do a $10 million project and it's going to have predictable ROI. We're going to get at least 20 million value out of this. They need modular solutions. The fact is they need help solving it across many platforms. And companies like mine and yours who can contribute to that without controlling it are a lot more valuable to the enterprises than platforms whose proposition is like, oh, we'll solve this completely for you within the Google universe and the Google Cloud and Google Analytics. That's not what we're asking for. Guys, that's not what
Yeah.
we're asking for.
I mean, and here's the thing, right? For SMBs, like, so one of the products that I sell to publishers is a simple conversion attribution product, a very simple one, where they can export a pixel that they can give to a direct sold advertiser. And the use case for this is because GAM and DFA sunset spotlight tags, which is how publishers used to be able to track conversions inside of the Google ecosystem. They killed it because they killed third-party cookies. And so publishers have this problem where they have local sales teams. The local sales team goes and talks to a mom and pop. The mom and pop says, well, I've only ever bought ads on Google and Facebook. So I have no way to track sales from this IO with you publisher. I have no way. It's not a thing. And so this product exists for those publishers. And like the idea is that SMBs need, right? They need everything in one spot because they're small. But like the enterprise guys are so limited by it. It's so limiting to just be like, oh, well, I have my measurement system right here and this measurement system right here. They don't talk to each other and they're not aware of each other. Like from a self-interested perspective, they're not aware of each other. They don't want to be aware of each other.
Exactly.
And like and it's
Yeah,
profound.
you saw what I
right?
read about Agentic. Like the platforms are trying to claim Agentic, right? Like we're going to have an Agentic layer of our platform. But the reality of Agentic is it's going to cut right across these silos of data and get these solutions. Like that's what it's for. That is the use case of Agentic AI. Like, you know,
Oh
you
yeah,
only
man.
need to use
It's a
Cloud Connect for an hour.
democratizer. It should be. It's a scary democratizer. I think that this is in a good way. Like we need this, and like every chief growth officer, right? They know that this is a problem for them. They know that I have these 3 channels, and I'm using one of the. I'm using an AI startup that's actually an MMM company, of which there are many at this point, like which is really funny because it's just MMM.
Yeah.
And I'm probably doing them an injustice, but it is funny to hear people build, and I've said this before. It's funny to hear people build MMM as an AI startup. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? But like, I think that there's a growing need for this, right? As
What about
growth
the
guys
Agentic
become
startups?
big.
Like, I
We
think
got
I call bullshit on an agentic layer over a platform. If the platform isn't very interoperable, that agentic layer is just automation of the platform functionality, which is possibly worth something, but not agentic. And a
Mhm.
company that claims to be just an agentic connector, it's hard to see. Like, would you invest in any company that's like, well, we're an agentic layer over other things?
No.
Right.
And my thesis for this is the reason I wouldn't invest in them. Well, I wouldn't. So the bear case is that that's an ad operations automation company, and those have existed for a long time, and they will live and die by the sword. The sword is like how many IOs can they get? And at the end of the day, those IOs are going to be assessed the way that any other IOs are going to be assessed, which is, well, what are the results that you drove? Um, and so they're a new flavor of trading desk. And we used to call them independent trading desks. So these are trading desks that live outside of agencies or agency holding companies. They're just a shop that runs campaigns for people, and they call upon normally smaller agencies and say, "Hey, we'll run your digital campaigns for you as part of the package that you sell to your
Right.
local tourism board." Um, and the ones who build really strong direct sales motions will succeed,
Like a
and the ones
verticalized, all
who
right. So it
don't,
could be like
yeah,
we're travel expertise, and they build an agent that goes into all the travel publishers and stuff, right? So that you're
bingo.
saying there's a possibility there. But
And they will
wouldn't
not
that
succeed
company,
because they're agentic. They will succeed because they build a
that's
strong
what I was
sales
gonna
motion.
say, right? Like
Yeah,
you have to have value in the first place. The value is not that
you
it's
got it.
yes,
If
yeah.
you couldn't make it work without agentic, in all likelihood, you're not going to make it work with agentic. So the people who are best suited to this agentic stuff are the people who basically already do this by hand, and they can say, okay, we're going to take this thing that we do by hand, and we're going to make it a way faster, smoother, better. We're not going to. They're not inventing a new category. They are enhancing an existing category. That's a thesis that I would buy. But you
Yeah.
know. Like somebody coming and saying, I'm going to start a trading desk, like you're not going to get funded.
And then for me and you, should we build our own agentic layers, or should we try to be discoverable and usable by other agentic layers, or both?
Okay. I got the question this morning. I got it this morning. Do
Yeah,
you have
well.
an MCP? And I was like, yeah, we built it, but nobody uses it. Like, and like, because part of the whole ad CP thing, part of the direct sales thing for publishers, right? So a big part of the appeal of ad CP is that publishers want more direct sales because their direct sold inventory, they sell at higher prices. And so the appeal
Wait,
of ad
slow
CP,
down,
yeah,
slow down.
yeah,
All right.
sorry.
So this is mostly display publishers using the old newspaper model, saying if you want the front page ad, that's scarce, you have to pay more, and you have to
Mhm.
deal with us directly. You can't bid on that. So
Correct.
basically they've set aside some special or more, some scarce ad unit and they sell that at a higher price direct than biddable.
Yeah, so they don't normally exclude it entirely. What they'll do is when you buy it direct, you get it guaranteed. So like a direct sold campaign gets to deliver on this unit no matter what. And the other thing is, so you know Permutive, right? I'm sure you've talked to Joe.
Yep.
Lovely guy. Permutive's whole business was selling the dream to publishers that publisher, you have all of this first party data. We will categorize it for you. Blasting it into the bid stream does nothing because nobody listens to things in the bid stream. It will enable your direct sales teams to sell more effectively.
Why?
Because the direct sales team can go and say, I am this publisher. I have this really interesting data about my users that you buyer cannot see in the bid stream. And therefore, when you buy directly with me, you will activate against this direct sold data that I have.
We're going to match it better. We're going to match better. It's basically optimize the guarantee on our side. Better matching with your ads. Yeah.
We have proprietary signal as a publisher that you don't have, and it's going to make the campaigns perform better.
I didn't realize that's what Permutive did. And the signal is really what categories of content the user has been browsing lately.
I mean, Permutive ran into a funny little problem where the publisher software market is just like of a certain size. I sell software to publishers. I'm acutely aware of this. My projections.
Yeah, they would not spend more than a certain amount of their revenue on software.
How can they? Like these companies are threatened. They don't have lots of money to spend. It has to have demonstrable ROI. And I think Permutive is in a situation now where their newest products are very ad CP focused, and they are curation products. So they are out there saying, okay, well, instead of just a single publisher doing this sales, we're going to build a sales motion out for publishers and we're going to curate for them. Which actually I do think Permutive's business lends itself to this thing where they can try and automate direct sales and sell directly into brands and agencies. It's a sales house. It is the modern iteration of a sales house. The exact thing we were talking about earlier, that is Permutive today. They have proprietary data signals, they have automation, and they're out there selling stuff to agencies and brands. And they've been investing in building this sales motion for a while. It's where a lot of their money went.
Is Public essentially the same or different?
Sure is. So, slightly different, because I don't think Programmatic has their own internal data assets, even though they might. I haven't been like part of a Programmatic pitch. Programmatic's pitch, as opposed to Permutive, is not we have our own data that you can't get anywhere else. It's we are an aggregator of a bunch of different data, and we will allocate the correct one to you.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, I mean it's different.
More modular, more agentic.
It is more agentic. I do think that like Publicatic's pitch in this modern agentic world is a very good one because they are direct to supply. And they know how to deduplicate. They can do all these integrations. They can do these things. This is the beauty of the SSPs. The SSPs were saved from the sword of Damocles by all of this, because when they were just dumb pipes to get to publishers, they were truly and deeply unnecessary. Just truly like almost indisputably a bad thing for the ecosystem. But now they have become this wonderful insertion point for all of these technologies, and they have the existing relationships with all the publishers. They're directly in there. They can insert things directly into the publisher's ad server. And so they're a really nice place for all this stuff to live. And we're seeing agencies actually start to work more directly with them at more scale. And I think the holding company has also spotted this and started doing this. And maybe some of the reasons were nefarious, but some of them are good. If you're a holding company and your clients want to buy from 5 different DSPs, it's real nice for you to be able to stand something up in an SSP and do it across all 5 DSPs at the same time. That's nice. There's value there.
Don't you bid against yourself?
Yeah, definitely. And you can't cross frequency cap. And all of the multi-DSP problems that why
wouldn't you do one DSP and multiple SSPs?
It's a great question. I remember this discussion happening 10 years ago, and everyone was talking about all of the problems of buying on multiple DSPs at once. This was a constant point of discussion.
Yeah, I was saying this time. Yeah, it's like, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't bid against ourselves.
There are problems.
We would not bid against ourselves.
Serial problems. We've stopped talking about them. We've begun to ignore this.
I didn't realize that to still do it.
Oh my gosh, I think we live in a more multi DSP world now than we ever have.
Holdcos do that? Holdcos will bid against themselves in the same
Not,
campaign?
I mean, not on purpose, but they will.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now here's the
sometimes
thing:
like it
if this,
happens like auto tier one, tier two, and tier three are all bidding on the same opportunity by accident. I've seen that
you got
happen.
it,
Yeah.
and they're centralizing the data in the SSP, right? So they are all trying to buy the same impression. Um, and
Which
there's all kinds
SSPs
of
have
weird stuff.
pub ad server? I'm surprised to hear
Hmm?
Pubmatic has a publisher ad server, and I
So
suppose
they
they
don't have the ad
acquired.
server. They inject things straight into the ad server. So the
Ah, right.
pre-bid integration, the client-side
But
pre-bid
Magnite has
integration,
one in SpringServe.
they do. So their CTV, God, don't make me talk about CTV.
Don't okay,
Um,
we won't. But who else? Does any of the others have a publisher ad server? I think that's potentially a valuable combination in
Exchange
future
plus
worlds.
ad server combination is very rare. Um,
Yeah.
this is largely
Freewheel.
so the reason
Freewheel and Magnite.
it exists almost exclusively in CTV because DFP and GAM missed the boat in CTV. They were slow to the market. And actually, you know who dominated? Freewheel dominated the ad serving market for a
Yeah. My
really
sense of
long
that
time.
was just that the broadcast TV companies weren't gonna go with Google's ad server. I mean, they were
Oh, it
savvy
was
enough.
also just better. There was a
Yeah.
period of time where you could ask
It's chicken or
anyone.
egg, but is it better because they put money in it, or would they put money in it because it was better?
Well, whatever reason made it better 10 years ago, that reason no longer exists. Freewheel has been hemorrhaging market share for a really long time, but there was a period in time when everybody loved it.
Oh, what's happening? Why are publishers leaving Freewheel?
Features like just modern CTV features. That's why SpringServe has had so much success and Publica had so much success. Those are the two that have been the the darling recipients of so much.
Who's
Um,
Publica?
Publica's the CTV ad server that IAS bought, Adam.
Yeah, I thought so. What? But what? It's not. But there's no exchange.
It can do integrations with buyers.
I don't know.
I don't know, but you're right. I don't know that there's a Publica exchange. I don't think they ever branded it that way.
There's
I've
also
I've
Kevel
heard
and Cody.
I
Kevel and
I
Cody, the twin K publisher ad server startups that are big in retail media.
oh yeah, Kevel is huge in retail media. Is Coddy an ad server?
I believe so.
No way. Okay, so I worked with one of the founders of Coddy at AppNexus a long time ago. Plus one on Gareth's comment of us being in a time of multi DSP usage more than ever. Yeah, it's really weirding me out because like for the first decade of my career, this was anathema. Like you like all I heard were salespeople talking about not working with multiple DSPs. Um, Jeremy, Nexon has an ad server. They do. I mean, there's a whole tier two of video ad
Mm.
servers out there. Like, there's a long list of tier two. But the fancy guys, right, were on Freewheel, and then they went to Publica and SpringServe, and there was the ad server wars there. Um, but yeah,
Who's
in
on
banners,
Publica?
and we didn't have any of this. I've heard from a
I'm
lot of
challenging you
people.
on Publica.
Well, no, they really won market share. That's why they spent $300 million. It was not a cheap acquisition. Yes, so
What?
Publica sold for $300 million.
I
Like
thought it
it
had
was a,
something to do with contextual matching.
no, it's just it's a CTV ad server, man. Um, I their thesis was they were going to tie together the IAS measurement and brand safety and anti-fraud stuff with an ad serving environment and build this like secure way to buy CTV, and it just never came into being as far as I know. I have heard this lamented by people where they were like, how did this bag get dropped? Because the thesis is actually quite good. Like a company that assesses bad stuff also owns the infrastructure that can really monitor the bad stuff because the ad server is like very closely integrated with the publisher. In CTV that is, because in CTV that's the only way to do it. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people lamented that they feel like Publica was like kind of squandered.
Well, now IAS, of course, now went private again, so they could figure it out in private without the, you know, I'm learning that it's very hard to re-architect as a public company.
Yeah, man, you got to do what Casale did, which is we're not shipping any features for a year. like, like that's tough. It's like, hey, growth might slow for a year. That's what you have to be able to say. Growth might slow.
I
And
feel like in the
maybe you would as well.
future, there's a chance that like the future history of ad tech could be told in our 2 episodes with Casale and Jeff Green, where Casale is like we re-architected and Jeff Green is like we're rolling out this open path thing. Like
Yeah,
that was those were
it's
like
really true. And
those
the
are the
and the open ads
crossroads.
thing, the transaction ID, like that was the beginning of all of this. The beginning of this whole like what I referred to earlier as like the transparency product person. Like this is how they would build it to do it right. Um,
Just
that whole
suggesting it as a
saga, we were
framework.
there.
Yeah, I'm not saying about how it played out or if what it's determinative, but in
Yeah.
those 2 episodes we saw an infrastructure upgrade and a public company going a product route without an infrastructure change, right? Or just trying it through product and of course it's still playing out, but
I do also think that
one
Chalice,
framework.
well, and Chalice is part of the tip of the spear and the change in things where SSPs have tried to woo the buy side for a very, very, very long time. They always knew they needed to go more direct to buyers, and they were never good at it. They
Yeah.
always struggled. And something changed. Like there was an inflection point where they started to make real progress. Like Magnite started to make real progress talking to holding companies. Like Index, right?
Yeah, I remember
The
I was on the receiving end of these pitches.
Yeah. Oh, they were really trying, man.
Mm.
Even in 2010, 2015, they were trying. They were in your offices like, "Hey, we could do things for you. Like, buy it from us." And historically, agencies were just like, "This is a nuisance."
Right.
Like,
I mean, it was always less efficient than what we were already doing. And I think what started with Chalice and Index was like, what if we can make it more efficient?
right. They
Right.
they saw the light. They saw the light of, oh, we're not just gonna hawk bullshit to agencies, which is probably what they tried to do for a while. Um, what if we
Yeah.
did something real?
All right. So like it's again like the cost you could be cheap or you could have trust, but if you have a chance to offer both, like more value for the cost, um, then you should move on it, right? So it's been exactly 2 years since Chalice and Index started building together in what is now the IAB's Agentic Real-Time Framework standard. And 2 years in, like it's the fastest adoption of a new standard I've ever seen.
Yeah. We use an IAB standard with Index too, the protobuf standard. It's nice.
Yeah, what does it do?
It's fast. Um, it's it's
Speed.
nice, man. At the end of the day, I will say, for all of like the ridiculousness that's happening in the press, I think ads are starting to work better. Like I really think that they are. I think
What?
I think there are
What?
so I think so many of these companies do exist to make ads work better. Just at the end of the day, at the fundamental level, like Chalice, the curation layer, when done properly, makes ads work better. Um,
Hershey's
OpenPath,
ads are working
Open
better.
Ads.
Chalice can't take full credit. I will credit Vinnie Rinaldi that I've seen him go over a journey in the last 5 years of maturing of how he gets value out of his media spend. And some of it has nothing to do with Chalice. So some of it has to do with creative and placement views that we're not actively helping with or optimizing at all. But
Hmm.
in the media portion, like we've learned a lot together. And I think, yeah, we've already said Vinny should be the leader of all enterprise heads of media. But I think if you just look at what he's written about how he values ad opportunities and creative, there's a pretty good playbook starting to emerge.
It's so cool. I mean, so where are the rest of them? How many other clients does Chalice have who are doing this? Are there dozens? Are there are there literally dozens of us?
I mean, there's two Chalice clients. Gary Guarnacia at
I
Bayer is
love
the other
Gary.
one who's active in the marketplace, an active voice, and of course his colleague Kara at Bayer, active in a little less active on the LinkedIn than ad tech LinkedIn, and yeah, so there's more than one. There are others. Those are ones that I know who I think will be remembered as leaders and who will, are the first of a new breed of media leads within
I,
brands.
I have a question. Is P&G good at this?
Yeah, P&G is the
I feel
best.
like they probably are, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, P&G is a giant company and the brands have a lot of autonomy. So there's a lot of
interesting.
variation within P&G of approaches. But they also have sets of standards and ways of thinking that they apply across the brands that are designed to ensure that all that decisions are ROI positive, right? That you can make your own decisions, but the guidelines make it pretty hard for the brand media lead to make an ROI negative decision. So
Interesting.
it's an interesting mix of top-down rules and bottom-up autonomy across the brand. So you see a lot of variation, but on the whole, they're better than average, and I think the best brands are great. And a lot of the emphasis is creative. If you watch Hulu, they buy a ton of Hulu. They must find Hulu very effective. And if you watch ad-supported Hulu, you'll see a ton of P&G ads. And I'm always impressed by their creative effectiveness, right? And in 15 or 30 seconds, they make you remember the name of a product and what it does. And
Yeah.
sometimes the details are seem so silly or random. But if I didn't have my advertising expert lens on them, I probably wouldn't notice them, right? Like they're designed to be like subliminal and not noticed about the people and the situation and how they behave. What comes through is, Febreze and what it does.
It's so interesting. I also think that like in order to do that properly, right, to measure the value of good creative, the outputs on the other side have to be so intelligently interpreted for something like P&G. Like they must have it so dialed in. Here is how we monitor the relationship between creative and delivery and sales. Like here's how we do that.
Yeah. I'm
Because
not
otherwise
sure if
it's all
that's
art.
where and I mean, my experience is limited with them, but I think they're very good at that. But I think the core of it is the connection between the product strategy and the creative is they
Interesting.
do research first, like, how do homemakers feel about how their home smells and what do they view as the problem that we could potentially solve. They build the product directly to solve the problem and they check all the time that are we solving the problem and is this the problem? And then the creative illustrates that. And once if you've done that well enough, the media matters less, right? You have a lot more room, right?
Yeah,
Essentially it becomes get this in front of homemakers 3 times a week for a month and sales will lift.
totally. I mean, ironically, a creative and a really good salesperson are the same thing, right? A really good salesperson wants to sell a
Right.
product that they don't have to sell that hard, like it sells itself.
Yep.
Um, and
So taking the weight off media. Yeah. And then
it's really interesting.
and then the media job is like, make sure you don't get ripped off, right? Make sure you don't get frequencies of 90
Yeah,
and fail to reach most homemakers because the frequencies are through the roof.
yeah. I mean, I'll give my buddies at OpenAds a free pitch here.
Yeah.
They were originally a company that was going to place ads inside of LLMs, right? Like they were going to be an ad network for LLMs. So they would have like the native style ads and like the various ad formats that go
When,
inside of
when are you
LLMs.
when are you talking about? The LLMs only came out in 2022.
Yeah, they pivoted fast. Well,
Okay.
because they built this ad network and they were like out of business. But
What
now they're
company
building
are
a
you
DS
talking about?
open ads.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's multiple businesses called. Can you just clarify? I thought you said OpenX. No, you said
Oh
Open
no, no,
Ads.
open
You don't
ads.
mean Trade Desk, Open Ads.
No, I don't mean Trade Desk open ads. I mean open ads, the startup.
Okay, who's the
Um,
CEO and what's their website?
Stephen Liss and Michael Bishop. So Stephen's the CEO and Michael's the CTO. They're both lovely. And I think it's openads.ai. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome, guys. Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
Um, so, but they're focused on creative. Their big thing is how do we get really good at using AI to make creative super effective? And how do we build proper testing strategies? And they're building a whole DSP dedicated purely to this.
Ah,
It's
that's
like
cool.
a creative first DSP.
My
And
friends who were doing this were memorable, which was two Argentinian founders who came out of Harvard and MIT doing research into video, and
didn't they sell that for $1 bajillion to Reddit?
yeah, I don't know how
Yeah,
much, but they had a 2 year journey from launch to exit
they
to
did
Reddit.
well. I
And they're
remember the
and they're young.
memorable
They'll found
acquisition.
another company. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a memorable acquisition.
It's a
Sorry.
it's a clearer problem solution, right? Like AI can give you more creative variations that can be more effective. A lot of enterprise customers jumped on them, and then Reddit jumped in it to make it part of their in-house solution.
Yeah, and it's amazing with the new models, like the creatives that these guys kick out. It's unbelievable. They're spectacular. Um,
Yeah, Memorable used to do posts where used to say they put up 4 pictures of a product and they say, guess which one is AI generated, and
yeah.
you couldn't
Oh
tell.
gosh, and that was years ago, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like where it is now is just weird. The
yeah.
entire videos that are unrecognizably AI. Like human
They
beings
just
that
didn't
don't
try to do
Inconceivable!
they didn't try to do too much, right? Like they weren't they did they were matching their solution to the technology that was available at the time and hitting the enterprise problem squarely, which is like we need more variations for different audiences and formats.
we'll get Steven on the show. I think he would actually be a good guest. I'm just having this thought right now. He'll be funny.
Yeah,
Their Twitters are amazing. They're part of the
yeah, I
ad
see them
tech
on
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're great.
Bishop, I read all the time on Twitter, and I understand about 7% of what he's saying.
I love Bishop. Um, but yeah, man, I definitely think that I like people who bet on the programmatic layers because I talk to my publishers. My publishers really have a lot of eggs in the basket of direct. They really do. Because they see that as the great equalizer where you alluded to something earlier, right? The dichotomy between Google and Trade Desk, where Trade Desk was super high trust, therefore it could be higher price, and Google was just we're gonna buy shit at the lowest CPM possible. And a lot of publishers felt betrayed by programmatic, and the reason they felt betrayed by Programmatic is Programmatic took what was an old school Mad Men business where they would sell for the highest price they could negotiate. And the buyer didn't have a particularly good conceptualization of value.
Yep.
Therefore, the market determined the price, not nothing else. And creating
Audience, right? People had a
scarcity.
much better view of audience. There were few enough publications that you could tell if people read Ladies Home Journal or Good Housekeeping. Like, you didn't need to go into log files.
Pubs
You'd go
still
into
know
people's
that.
houses and see those magazines.
Yeah, but also pubs still have a lot of that data. The problem is so do DSPs.
Yeah.
And that was the disruption, right? Is Google is going to sell you like people who read Better Homes and Gardens at the lowest CPM possible, and it disrupted
I just think
publishers.
they became
Um,
arbiters of value, right? I think they should feel robbed of programmatic because they had arbiters of value, 2 huge arbiters of value who were, not conveying the unique value of good publishers for many
yeah.
years.
Oh, they commoditized it. It was lowest CPM for a cookie ID. And that's why so many of them, right, really like the ad CP pitch for we're gonna make direct sales a thing again. We're gonna make it great again.
Yeah,
Um, and
I would
that's
say,
not
yeah. I
that's
don't
the
know.
dream for them.
We could see what Vinnie and Gary think of automated guarantees across many
I don't,
publishers, but
I don't think they're gonna do that.
from the event, yeah, from the view of event level optimization, we have to be very skeptical that these are optimized at the event level, right? Like we
They
have
can't be.
models.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
The moment you have a model, you want to buy individual ad impressions. That's the world that you live in when you have a model. If
Yeah.
you don't have a model, then maybe you buy bundles.
Use somebody
Like
else's model. Yeah.
who knows what you're doing? You're using someone else's model. Who knows? But the moment you have a model and you have a centralized data repo and you are intelligent about this, you want to buy individually. You just
I
do.
think there's an end state version of it where your model is so integrated with the publishers that you've essentially can convey your bid for all of their opportunities in advance, right? And then they could package you impressions based on that and sell them all at once. But that's a year or two in the future, at least.
Oh God, you just you,
What happened?
I mean I
Your
just have
brain hurt?
PTSD because I just heard you pitch a futures company.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's what
future.
I just heard. And, and it'll be interesting. Um,
Is it futures? Futures is more like, yeah, I'll buy this at this price at that time on that day.
I want to lock in my price for the future.
But it's not
And
necessarily locking it in, right? Because it's just a bid. This is what I will pay on that day.
yeah, but publishers want predictability. So this is what I will pay on this day 30 days from now. That might as well be just okay, fine. You're going to guarantee me this revenue.
But you could imagine, it could live in the publisher ad server as a reserve price, and they could put it up for bid and saying, if there's no higher price, then Chalice gets it because they've reserved at this price. They'll take anything on this day and this page at this price. I don't know. I'm spitballing.
No, I mean,
It's not exactly a futures market.
Yeah, well, the way the publishers direct sell today is they say, hey, if you're willing to guarantee this revenue to me in 30 days, I won't even let anyone outbid you. I will let you get priority. But you have to guarantee me the money because that's what real publishers really want at the end of the day.
Yeah,
they want predictable cash flow. If they can get somebody to sign up and say, I will pay you this, they will give preferential treatment for that.
Yeah, the way it's working so far, we've done a couple of these, is we pre-price everything for the publisher, and we say packet, we value score for the publisher, like every show and episode in the CTV that can be streamed, and we say make the score as high as you can. Like it's a guarantee, it's $1 million, or just like last year's guarantee, but this time we're giving you all these values and make the value as high as you can. And we'll decide if it was worth it. And we'll buy the same or more next year if you give us enough value, or less if it's not. So now the publisher has some idea. At least they have some idea of how much the Chalice client values all their stuff, and they can make better decisions of how they package that guarantee, because now they're sort of arbitrary of what you actually get for your $1 million. It's
super interesting. It makes sense in CTV, especially where the packaging is so scattered. Like it's so strange.
Yeah, there's like no logic to it, right?
Yeah, and in banners, right, there's a lot more data, there's a lot more control. But in CTV, this is super valuable. I mean, publishers would love nothing more than if you're in here saying, listen, if we build a perfect data environment, you're going to start to be able to get guaranteed revenue again. Nothing would make publishers more gleeful than that, Adam, where it's like, we know what the value is going to be.
I wonder why they're not moving. The point has been made to me a few times that like, you don't need the infrastructure for 20 million bids a second across 6 premium TV publishers. Like it's like the infrastructure for that can be relatively efficient.
You've dragged me back to CTV.
Where the action is.
Adam, the CTV ad servers duplicate every request 9 times at the source, man.
It's
like this whole thing. It's a QPS. Well,
why don't you speculate on what Netflix is going to do? Netflix is smart. They build their own tech. They have a great offering.
Well, they do now. They didn't originally.
What are they going to do?
The first place they went to Xandr. They signed a deal with Xandr for Xandr to be their ad server, which was the single greatest deal ever signed by whoever that Xandr salesperson was. Like whoever that Xandr salesperson was, I hope that in Microsoft there is a plaque of that person.
It was a lot of money to the Microsoft Corporation.
I mean, they fumbled it, and then Microsoft was like, "We don't care about ads." But like. That person, it's still amazing. It's still an amazing because they were the dark horse, man. There was Freewheel, there was Publica, there was SpringServe. There were like very well established ad servers used by lots of really big publishers, and Xandr just must have put on a hell of a show. But like, but I think
it's called Microsoft something. By the way,
I mean, these things.
All right.
They've sunset so many things. Like the whole thing's a mess.
Anyway, what are they going to do? First of all, who gets the inventory right now today? And who
it's programmatically available. So
I know through which SSPs and which DSPs?
I think they work with most of the big CTV SSPs. Like I think you can get it in Magnite. I think you can get it in like I don't know if it's available in Index.
But the only announced deals have been Trade Desk and Amazon as
Trade Desk and Amazon for DSPs that can buy it.
Yeah.
But I know ironically, someone I worked with at AppNexus a really long time ago is the head of partnerships. It's Faye. There are ways you can buy it. They activate through most SSPs and you can get PMPs. It is buyable, but you get no targeting. They do not do that.
Yeah.
They are
Do you
like
think it stays there,
you're
no
buying
targeting?
Netflix.
Okay, what do you think? I want you to speculate. Where do they go?
I think, well, where do they go or what should they do?
First, what do you think? Do you think that they can sustain what they need to sustain from their ads business by being high CPM, no targeting?
No.
Okay.
Because of what we discussed. I think that as buyers move to models, that will simply they will demand more, and there is enough inventory out there that will open up to models that models will prefer high data environments to low data environments.
Right. So what should they do? And then you could do what will they do?
So I think that they should reward, well, so the trade-off is always revenue predictability, right? It's always, if I share more data, do I make less money because people can pick what they want and not buy the rest? So do people want to buy, there's no logic in what I'm
Yeah.
about to say,
There's
but
a
do they
simple,
want to
there's a
buy
simple way.
billions? Yeah.
Does the buy model consider quality?
Yeah. Does it
Right.
consider quality?
Right.
Um,
That should be their concern because
and
we
I
have a
think that there's
very high
fear.
quality ad environment.
But I don't think that they know that floating it will lead to less money. I don't think that they can know that. I think it's just fear. Like they're like, what if it does? So what if when we give
I
the
think what they
quality
don't know
data
is that it
out?
could be avoided. They don't know that there's a data environment where all the models consider quality and that they can protect their price.
Right. Well, if they, and when I say float it, I mean, will they, if they float the price and they let people evaluate quality with models and bid it, will they make less money than they did before? Where they just go, no, you get no data and you're going to pay us a $50 CPM. It's where publishers were at the beginning of programmatic, by the way. There is precedent for this. In all of the SSPs, there's infrastructure for publishers to hide data from the buy side. There used to be buttons to turn off page level
Yeah,
targeting. There used to
I
be buttons to
remember.
turn off
It didn't
domain
go well.
reporting.
It did not go
No, it
well
was
for the publisher.
bad. It was a
Yeah.
bad thing.
But publishers
And
are the ones who suffered. Buyers did okay. Maybe not in the long term. They didn't get much value. But what happened is there's models that didn't consider the value of the inventory, and the better your inventory, the more you suffered. So,
Yep.
I think I interject my point of view. I think Netflix
Please.
can avoid this by operating in new infrastructure. Like it probably won't go to Amazon's RTB fabric for competitive reasons, but maybe. And of course, Index and the ARTF and OpenX under ARTF and other things to come, I think, give environments where they can make sure that the buy models consider quality and that their value is protected and that they can learn what their value is to specific buyers and specific verticals and optimize accordingly.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just a matter of sharing the data. I think that they will eventually succumb to pressure to share the data unless they do the alternative, which is they withdraw. And another
Terrible.
strategy would be they buy Vibe.
What's
They
Vibe?
Vibe.co, the SMB video
Arthur?
advertising platform,
Yeah.
Arthur. They buy Arthur. They start going direct to SMB. And for the enterprise, they become a walled garden. There are
Mm,
certainly analysts that think this is what they should do.
mm.
And because they could really sew up a story, you want your ads on TV, put your ads on Netflix,
Yeah, sure.
and use the self-serve UI to do it.
That's all doable.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I
It's a
don't
pretty
love
good
that
what
because
will happen.
and I think that it's you end up like having to figure out a new strategy for enterprise. Like how do we work with the enterprise in that scenario? But I don't know. They could go either way.
I think I'll bring up Netflix history, which is that when they were fighting for subscribers and coming up, they were really good at picking shows which drive more subscribers, which is really a new model in video publishing or TV or content, right? That they actually had a loop going. It was like, we're going to buy shows that drive up subscribers among, right, families on the West Coast or young
Yeah,
singles in England. Like they had a
they're known
loop
for
going,
this.
like, right? And that was just for subscribers. But the same thing is even more powerful if you can do it with ads. right?
I
So,
can tell you that they are one of the only companies that can. I've talked to very senior people at CTV companies about my LTV measurement product, right? Because my LTV measurement product for publishers is I'm going to tell you how many times this person's been to your website and how much money they've made you over your lifetime. And you can cohort it, you can do whatever you want with it. And they were like, this is really interesting for CTV because show buyers do not have this at
Yeah.
most big CTV publishing companies. They don't have
Yeah.
it. They don't know what the value of a user who watches this show versus that show is. So they actually have a lot of trouble pricing content.
That's a great job for AI. I mean, any publisher could punch above its weight by getting that sort of flywheel going to understand the long-term value of their content to advertisers. And it hasn't been done yet. It's an opportunity lying around.
There's just too many opportunities, Adam.
Round of applause for Gareth's speculation.
Oh, for your speculations, I think I think your perspective is a close one.
The sell side perspective is what Netflix should be listening to. Closing thoughts?
I hope all the brands have models. Can we
Yeah.
do that? And I mean,
No.
like, models for their ads, not like models.
Runway models.
Runway models.
All right. I wish for peace in the Middle East and peace in enterprise ad tech. Thank you very much.
Are those two things equally likely? Is that the implication? I hope all brands have models. I hope for world peace.
They're connected in my
Darn, that's
Yo, the
the
crowd is back, the lights are dim. Front rows buzzing, it's about to begin. Ad tech, ad talk, they're taking the stage. Adam and Gareth on a knowledge rampage. Ad tech, ad talk, it's a live Q&A. Buy side, sell side, clearing the